Gata is a traditional, very much loved Armenian pastry. It is just gorgeous, subtly sweet, buttery, very light and flaky. Quick and very easy, even if you never baked. Gata could be your first project.
Lots of butter in this recipe, so I'm using here decent quality butter, which I think matters. And if it's soft butter, you just work it with that sort of movements. In a crumb, mix it with the flour, and it's a cold butter, so I'm gonna grate it.
So I measure my flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar in a pastry, vanilla sugar 1 pack, and the baking powder. So fridge cold pack of butter, 250 grams. All of it will go in this recipe, 150 grams to the pastry, the rest to the filling. So keep dusting it liberally with the flour and quickly grate it. So we're looking for a sandy texture here, not necessarily very uniform. So light hand and just create those buttery, floury crumbs. And do work quickly here. We don't want butter to melt. It won't take you more than a couple of minutes anyway. You can use here sour cream, kefir, any kind of yogurt to adjust a bit your flour depending on the thickness of your yogurt. So I use here Greek style yogurt. As it happens, it's fat-free Greek style yogurt, baking soda, which I mix with the yogurt to activate it, and you can see that it fluffs up and becomes puffy immediately. 2 large eggs, the whites go to the pastry and the yolks I reserve for later. So now we're bringing everything together, literally bringing everything together in a rough ball. There is no kneading in a traditional kind of way. So first with the spoon, then on the table, light hand here, the pastry will be looking quite rough and ready, not even smooth, but it will be light and flaky. Be quick and gentle with the pastry. Do not press hard. If you do need to use some kneading movements, just make them very light. Divide pastry in 2. I like to weigh it. A rough rectangular shape, so it cools down quicker, and it's also gonna be a bit easier to roll out. To the fridge for at least 30 minutes now. Make the filling as the pastry is resting.
Filling, it's called choris. It's just a mix of flour, butter and sugar.
Similar to the pastry itself, and sugar here is spot on.
Subtly sweet, I would say.
Of course, you can add some walnuts here or make a filling just out of walnuts and equal amount of sugar and your favorite spice. But the classical version, which I like very much, is just butter, sugar and flour. Half a teaspoon of cinnamon. The butter is quite soft by now, so just make crumbs exactly the same way as we done for the pastry. I just use my hands, maybe pastry cutter. Literally a couple of minutes later, we should be able to stick choris in rough lumps. That means it is done. Roll out the pastry to the size of 30 by 40 centimeters roughly, quite thinly. Make sure it doesn't stick to the surface or to the rolling pin. Plenty of flour here. About a tablespoon of blunt neutral kind of oil. I use actually here walnut oil as I run out of my sunflower oil. Spread this spoon all over your pastry. It will help choris to stick. Spread the choris, slightly pressing it down. Roll the pastry in a tight roll. Dust away the extra flour as you do so. Turn the roll seam down and just flatten it gently with your hand to create a sort of flat top. Use your hands or a rolling pin for this purpose. Brush your roll with the egg yolks, which we reserved. And now I have here a tool which I brought from Armenia. It's especially for Gata. Just use a sharp knife. Not a big deal if you do not have this tool. Space out your gatas on a tray as they will puff up a lot. So they will just about fit the standard oven tray, the portion I give you here. And I cut my first roll into diamond shape and the second into the triangles, and both shapes are very common. And just before the oven, I do add another layer of egg yolk wash to make sure our gatas are lovely, goldy and shiny. It's absolutely gorgeous recipe. Do try it. Enjoy.